This one says, they all have big... Hello everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Victoria Rose. I'm a 25-year-old woman of transgender experience, and here on this channel, honey, we talk about literally everything, from reaction videos to commentary content to more Ask the Editor type stuff like this. So if that sounds like fun to you, make sure that you subscribe down below so you can join the family and never miss out on a new upload. I feel like I haven't done that intro in like forever. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, I am a woman of transgender experience. I transitioned around age like 14 or so, and I think 14, and I'm 25 now. So it's been like 10, 11 years in the making, and in these years, I have experienced some kind of wild stuff. I have heard all of the assumptions, the rumors, the myths, the legends about trans women, and some of them are, you know, obviously kind of nasty. Some of them are really bizarre, and a lot of the ones that I'm seeing right now are so out of pocket, I don't understand. And today we are gonna get into them. So I asked you all on my Instagram to send me any transgender myths. I'm gonna transgender myth bust in here. Do y'all remember that show?
The only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down.
So I had you all submit on my Instagram story, which by the way, if you're ever looking for more interactive content or more consistent content, check out my Instagram, it's linked down below. And you really pulled through with sending over some trans myths, and I'm only gonna pick a few of them, but when I do, I will tell you whether that myth is based or if it is busted. Based meaning it's based in reality, it's like true for the most part, and then busted, oh, obviously means busted. I'm super excited to jump into today's video, but before I do, I have a word from our wonderful sponsor over at Catch Beauty. Hey there, beautiful. I want to show you something that has completely upgraded my hair removal process in my transition. It is the Catch Beauty at-home IPL laser hair removal device, and trust me when I say this is a game changer. As a woman of transgender experience, I feel like we, or at least I, have needs of hair removal that go above and beyond that of the average person's regime. I have spent hours and easily thousands of dollars on salon laser, and I knew that if I wanted to get my whole body smooth, I needed to take matters into my own hands. Thanks to Catch Beauty, I can get salon quality results at home for a fraction of the price. It's super easy to use. I just slide their handset over my skin and the IPL technology does its magic. It's safe, effective, and it leaves my skin feeling incredibly smooth. Take a look at these before and after shots. The results are unbelievable. I used to really struggle with razor burned ingrown hairs. Thanks to Catch Beauty, I don't have those issues anymore, and I feel confident to wear whatever I want and feel comfortable in my own body. And guess what? Catch Beauty now offers even more amazing products to enhance your hair removal routine. Make sure that you check out their hair removal spray and their growth inhibitor creams. The spray is gentle and effective. The growth inhibitor cream does its job. Catch Beauty has simplified my beauty routine and saved me so much time and money. Visit their website at catchbeauty.com/discount/Rose, or click the link in my description and use the code ROSE at discount for money off your order. Thank you so much to Catch Beauty for sponsoring this portion of today's video, and without further ado, honey, let's bust some myths. Okay, so I asked you on my Instagram to send me all of the transgender myths, and baby, I'm gonna give you the real truth. I'm gonna give you the real tea. Also, by the way, when people say like no tea, no shade, that's literally nothing. No tea, no shade. It's like, well, then what are we talking about? What are we talking? Anyway, okay, I think the first myth should be that we never shut up, and maybe that would be based. This first one is that we shower twice a day. I've heard multiple people say it and I have no clue why. That is interesting. And you know what? I often do shower 2 times a day. I think the reason why people might assume that, or why maybe we do it more often, is one of 2 reasons. One, that we like to be like clean and shave frequently to make sure that we're like smooth, or B, I think because trans women often have to tuck, which is a very uncomfortable process. You're restricting the downstairs flat chair body, no matter how hot it is, no matter how sweaty you get throughout the day. It's really a concentrated area. So I think a lot of trans women shower at the top and the bottom of the day, like at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day. And honestly, that's good. We need more people to do that. We really need more people to do that. So guess what, babe? We have our first based. This one's based. We all wear cat ears and mini skirts.
Leave me alone!
Akira! Make it stop! Oh my God, don't at me. Don't talk to me like this. Don't at me. These are like such old pictures. I still have the cat ears, but I'm too shy to post them now. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's so embarrassing. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to say busted, because I'm like, we're not all the same. Like, we're not all wearing cat. It's based. It's really based. Now, is every trans woman wearing cat ears and miniskirts? No. Do I, can I count more trans women that have worn those things than haven't off the top of my head? Maybe. Maybe. Transgender women are super girly. Okay, this is definitely a myth to me. I will say, okay, maybe it's not. Let me talk through it. Okay. I myself am a little hyper femme. You say I have a full face. I have my nails, my long hair, and I'm wearing a mini skirt right now, like not with cat ears though. So I know a lot of trans women that are hyper femme, and I think that has to do with the fact that we have been kept from femininity for so long that a lot of us buck back the opposite, being like, well, now I can finally be feminine, so I want to wear all pink. I want to have hair down to my butt. I want to have extra long nails. Like, I want to be over the top. So that does happen, but I think I'm really gonna have to say busted on this one. We got our first busted! I'm gonna have to say busted because I actually really do know, yes, I know a lot of baddies, a lot of baddie trans girls, but I also know a lot of like tomboy trans girls. I know a lot of trans girls that don't wear makeup and are also very feminine, but don't wear makeup, don't like, you know what I mean? And I think you will actually you'd be surprised. The trans women that we see in the media a lot are hyper femme because they're done up, they're hot. It's really one end of the spectrum or the other. It's either like Gigi Gorgeous or it's like, I'm not gonna say any names. It's either like hyper passable or hyper not passable. And both are very much valid, but I do think there is a lot more variety in trans women than most people give us credit for. This one, stop! Oh my God, I know a trans girl sent this in. We give bomb ass blowjobs. You gotta give it up. Gotta give it up to the girls. I think it's nice to do something kind for Stacy's last day.
And I think it's nice to do something nice on Daisy's last day.
That is very base, let me tell you why. So many trans women are pre-op or non-op, meaning that they have genitalia that might not align with who they are inside, how they identify. And for most of us, we are uncomfortable with anything down there. Like, for me before surgery, so I had my own college experience, but a lot of times it's just like to prep for a backdoor entrance. That's a lot. It's so much. And I think trans girls probably give the most blowjobs out of any population. I also, of course, you can't eliminate the fact that trans women have had that equipment to practice with for a lot longer than cis women. All their life, they know exactly how it feels. So I think, sorry, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say based. Gender dysphoria is the same as body dysmorphia, implying that trans people shouldn't transition. Okay, as someone that has both, they're not the same thing. I've had a lot of times where I've sort of been in remission from my body dysmorphia, like my eating disorder and stuff, and I have still had dysphoria. And then meanwhile, I've also been able to relieve most of my dysphoria, but I still had my body dysmorphia. Like, I was like, yeah, I have a pussy now, but I'm fat, so. You know what I heard? This made a lot of sense to me, is body dysmorphia it's not just like the picture that you see of the super skinny girl looking at the big girl in the mirror. That's not an accurate description. A big part of it is that you can't see yourself for you as a whole. Like, you can't, when you see yourself in the mirror, you see your stomach, you see your thighs, you see your arms as all separate parts, and you examine them as separate parts. And that is a little hard to describe, but that's also why I think people with body dysmorphia have trouble with like picturing outfits and like stuff on them and how it will look on them, because they're like, well, I don't know what I look like, so I don't know how it'll look on me. So babe, we're busting that myth today. That straight guys are gay for dating trans women. I don't feel that way. Girl, click right up here. That's been busted because my wonderful husband Begs to differ. Okay, this is what surprised me the most. I got more than one saying this, that trans girls like pickles. And I had never heard that before. I love pickles. I love olives. I love like pickled jalapenos and shit, like salt and vinegar chips. I love all of it. But I looked it up and it maybe has something to do with the spironolactone, which is the blockers. I saw that like they're a diuretic, and so sometimes it can make you more thirsty or want more salt, or I don't know. I don't really know. Maybe it's like electrolytes. I really don't know. But I saw on Reddit, I'll put some stuff up right here. I saw on Reddit that trans girls are eating pickles like there's no tomorrow. I don't know why, but I've always loved pickles also, so I don't really know. I'm gonna say for me, it's based. If we're going off my experience and the trans girls I know, they all like pickles. Have you ever had a pickle martini, bitch? Get the fuck out of here. Pickle martinis or pickle juice in like a beer. I don't even like beer, but pickle juice in a beer, ugh. A guy was confused as to why I don't have an OnlyFans. He thought all of us do sex work. This is another huge misconception, a huge myth that needs busting, okay? Because trans women are not all sex workers. I have had people, when I worked at a grocery store, an undisclosed grocery store, I had multiple times people come up and try and like transaction me for sex. I was like, I can't scan my ass across the scanner and put myself in a bag. They just assume that we all have like OnlyFans, or we all have, you know, whatever. I also think another misconception is that we're all like influencers. Nowadays, I think that's sort of more of the misconception, which I'm not really helping. But do trans women have a long history of being sex workers? Yes. Do trans women have a long history of not having access to gender affirming care or proper jobs that will hire them despite their physical transition, or housing that will accept them? Yeah, that's also been a problem. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say this myth is busted, because girl, we're not all sex workers. I understand where it's coming from, but most people's experience with trans people, because we're so far and few between, is pornography. So they'll see us, see like tranny, she-male, whatever, and they assume that's who we are. And for the most part, nothing could be further from the truth. Trans people always have to announce that they are trans. Baby, let me introduce you to the wild, wonderful world of living stealth. If it weren't for my YouTube channel, I would just be living stealth in my day-to-day life, but people from my real life follow me on Instagram and they see this, but it is not in our best interest to announce that we're trans. We are hunted down, for real, hunted down and murdered in the United States, in all different surrounding countries. It's happening here. I think what a lot of people are seeing in the media is the very loud minority of trans people. So they're seeing people that I'll just say don't necessarily represent all of us. You know, for me, I'm very visibly trans. I talk about it a lot. I talk about it on my social media, not in real life, like fucking ever. I am so uncomfortable talking about it in real life, but online, I talk about it all the time. For my job, I talk about it all the time. I'm on a board of directors for a major healthcare chain, and I talk about it there all the time. Otherwise, I just keep it to myself. But I will say, the trans people that you see that are being very visible and are identifying themselves as trans are doing so, myself included, to make the world a more inclusive place for trans people. The more trans people the world sees, the more normalized our appearances, our bodies, our existences will be. Just knowing that we exist. We don't want any special treatment. We just want you to see us like any other bum in Walmart. Just another bozo on the bus. So we're busting that one. This one says, someone said that trans women are just super lonely and touch starved and change to give themselves a body to touch because they can't get girls. So here's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize. Here's the thing. Do you know how many girls are foaming at the mouth to Timothy Chalamet, to Timothée Chalamet? That is what so many trans girls look like before transition. Also, most trans women I don't think are lesbians or bisexual. A lot of people think that trans women transition so that men will like want to be with them, which is also, I mean, busted. But who's transitioning to be more attractive to women? Not me. So that is busted, baby. Puberty blockers are a new and experimental treatment and are irreversible. Blockers are not new. I am not a scientist or a doctor, but they are not a new phenomenon. They've been around for quite a while. I know I transitioned, like I said, like 11 years ago, and I was on blockers back then, and I had heard about them for at least a decade before. Blockers have been around for a while, and while hormones can be irreversible, blockers are not. Blockers prevent puberty from advancing while you're on it. So for example, like I was in, I think there's like 5 Tanner stages is what they call it. If there were 5, then I was in like Tanner 3 or something. I was like somewhere around like halfway, and the blockers stopped it, and then the estrogen changed it. But by just stopping it alone, I think that's great. Like if I wish that I had gotten on blockers earlier, because then if you can change your mind, you can just get off them and it resumes, and maybe you're a little behind your peers, but that's the cost of taking a life-altering medication. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's busted, because they have been around for a while and they're perfectly safe. I'm not saying everyone should take them, obviously, but in the right case, if the primary healthcare physician believes in it, then yeah, they're just fine. All are very friendly folks. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know in on a little secret. A lot of your trans faves out here on the internet are wild offline, or at least online, but not in public settings. Oh my God. I'm gonna go ahead and say that like trans women are just as nice as any other type of woman, because yes, like we've been through a lot, and we maybe are more empathetic towards people that have gone through identity changing scenarios and anything else, and bullying, etc. But I've also known quite a few trans bullies. I'm sure I've been one at some point. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, busted. We are not all a nice people. I wish you were, but we're not. So that one's busted. Along the same lines as the last one, I have this one which I've heard before, that we're creeps and we only do this for fetish reasons. That's a cross-dresser or a transvestite. That's not a transsexual. A transsexual, like, no one is changing their physical body. Well, maybe I'm wrong about that. People do change their body for sexual gratification. So, but 99.999% of transsexuals, this is such an arduous process. You can't just walk into a clinic and they just give you surgery. Like, it takes so many steps. They have to get approval. They have to have doctors and psychiatrists. Like, it takes a very long time before we can get to that point. So as long as these people have effective healthcare, they would never reach that point. So no, it's not a fetish. This just makes us feel more comfortable in our bodies in a day-to-day life. Sexually, it's just a bonus. I would have transitioned if I could never have sex ever again. I would have still transitioned, because living authentically is the most important thing to me. So it's not a fetish. It's not a fantasy. This is real life. So y'all know what I'm gonna say. Busted. They have a higher than average IQ. I'm an idiot. No, I actually do have a higher than average IQ, but I don't think IQ means anything. So busted. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Cis people think they can always clock a trans person. This is a big busted, baby. Big time busted. People swear up and down, they're like, well, I would never mistake a man for a woman. Like, I know a woman when I see one. You sure? You sure? Because I even see cis people seeing drag queens being like, oh, that's a woman. That's a cisgender woman. It's like, they've never even taken a hormone one day in their life. So this is big time busted. I once had an employer, I've told the story a million times on my channel, but I once had an employer when I was like probably 17. I was working in a kitchen, and this is like during the whole Caitlyn Jenner transitioning thing. Maybe it was Liver and Talks, but I think this was like around the Caitlyn Jenner time. And my boss was talking to me in the office, and she was like, did you hear about Caitlyn Jenner? And I was like, yeah, you know, good for her, whatever. And she was like, yeah, I don't know about this trans people. I'd never let my son cut his off. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, totally. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go wash some dishes. Oh my God. That was so bad. So no, they cannot always spot us. Trust me. They're all DJs. That gets an honorary based because holy fuck, that's so funny. It's funny enough for me to call it based because that, like, I know a lot of trans DJs. I would say if the myth is that trans women on average are more likely to be DJs than cis women, I'm gonna go ahead and say based. I don't have any real data for that, so don't put me on Discovery, but they can't get pregnant. Yeah, obviously. Actually, you know what? Trans men could get pregnant if they like stopped hormones for a while. And they are working on like a stem cell artificial womb transplant thing, but I'm not putting any eggs in that basket, literally or figuratively. That we are dominant in the bedroom in a top perspective, meaning like that we want to top. That is the most busted fucking statement I've ever heard. People, I don't know what they think that like we've taken all these steps to transition and be hyper femme and like be whatever, that they assume that we're like dumb. Why would you ever assume that? I think because they see porn and they're like, oh, like, because they want to see, okay, here's what it is. A lot of TS porn is about like a trans girl f***ing the out of some guy, like as a dominant thing, because they would rather see, instead of like a strap on, they'd rather see a real girl with a real appendage. But most of the time we don't even want you to acknowledge what's down there. A lot of trans girls do, and that's totally fine, but like I would say most of us are pretty uncomfortable, and even if we are comfortable with it, I would say most of us don't want to top. Also, I'd say maybe at least a third, maybe even half, but at least a third of us can't top. Hormones make your, I mean, I just made a video all about hormones. It can sort of atrophy the muscles down there. They can shrink and they can become non-functioning. So a lot of us can't, and I would say most of us don't want to. So big time busted. As a trans girl, I've oddly had people assume that I'm just instantly great at hair and makeup. LOL, def not me. Dead ass. I don't know what it is. It's very much that like notion of the straight girl that's like, oh my god, you're even better than makeup than I am, and I'm a girl. It's like, what did you mean by that? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, the notion that we are all super good at hair and makeup is busted. I am good at hair and makeup, bitch, hello. I think a lot of us tend to get into the aesthetics. And I think a lot of us tend to have good skills because we might have to bring some illusion to our face to kind of pass, but that's not a generalization to make, so that's busted. Cis women say you want to be us so bad, usually said when angry. That is so true, not what they, you know. It's so true that cis women say this when they're mad. I think that's like a double-sided coin, where like, of course I wish that I was just born cis, but I wasn't. I know I'm never going to be cis. All of us know we're never gonna be cis. We're not trying to be. We're just existing. It's not like you wish you were me so bad. Are you sure? Because look at you. Yeah, no, I think we're just fine being who we are personally. For myself, I'm very happy being a transgender woman. It took me a very long time to be comfortable with that. But I am, and that's who I am, and girl, I love it and my husband loves it. So that people think we can't be as sexy as a cis woman, that is so big time busted, because take a look right here. Take a look right here. In fact, take a look right here. These are all some gorgeous transgender women. And to be honest, they are some of the most beautiful humans, period, I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, no, I'm gonna go right ahead and say that they can be just as sexy as cis people, if not more in some scenarios, in the same way that cis people can be sexier than trans people. I think we are on the same playing field. I do think that trans people, you see like very much both ends of the spectrum, like either like really not sexy or like extremely like body, you know what I mean? So you get all of it. We are going to end on a great note. This one says, they all have big. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Share it with anybody who maybe has some misconceptions about trans people. Any myths that you need busted, leave them down below, or make sure you follow my Instagram and send it to me on there. You are all amazing. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until I see you next week, good luck. I love you.